Most kids, when they're young, hate going to the dentist and also get really, really nervous before getting their shots at the doctor's office. But for me, one of the most anxiety inducing experiences that I absolutely dreaded was going to the supermarket. And that's because I grew up in what is commonly referred to as a food desert. Now, these are neighborhoods where residents lack convenient access to affordable and healthy food options. You see, the closest full service supermarket from my home in Ozone Park, Queens, was a 24-minute walk away into another zip code. During this walk, I'd pass McDonald's, a couple of gas stations, several liquor stores, and of course, a bunch of New York famous delis. My mom didn't drive, and there wasn't a bus that could make our trip more convenient. So almost every week and a half, my mom and I would set out on our journey to go get the groceries for our family of seven. When you're on a budget and you have that many mouths to feed, the options of how much fresh produce, how much healthy, nutrient dense foods you'll be taking home with you becomes limited. Suddenly, it can become so tempting to stop inside one of those fast food restaurants or convenience stores on the way home to stock up on food for the week as a more affordable option. But we all know that can have serious potential health consequences in the future. But this is the unfortunate reality for the 51 million Americans currently living in these low access communities, majority of which are low income and minorities. Black and Hispanic Americans are currently carrying the burden of this problem because we see that these deserts, in contrast to what the name suggests, are not naturally occurring. Instead, food justice advocates prefer the term food apartheid in order to emphasize that these communities are directly resulted from systemic, discriminatory, and racist policies that grouped low income communities of color together and eventually led to their limited access of healthy food. Eventually led to families like mine having to decide between an option that requires spending more money on getting to and purchasing healthier food options, or choose an option that is more affordable and convenient, but also life threatening in the long run. But for a moment, let's think back to my community in Queens. Like I said, the closest 24-hour full service supermarket was about 20-minute plus walk away from me. But in your head, can you guess what's less than about 2 minutes away? If you guessed a deli or a bodega, they're the same thing, really. You're right. This deli has been at the corner of my block for as long as I can remember. The owner, Mike, has known me since I was a little girl. And to this day, he's still the first familiar face I see when I travel back home, because I'll stop in there and he'll always welcome me back to Queens with a smile. A common phrase we often say in our home was that we pay Mike's bills, because of how often we stop and shop inside there. And I bet if you asked anyone else in our neighborhood, they'd probably say the same thing. But as much appreciation I have for the owners, I can't help but notice what's lacking on the shelves of this deli. Let us all take a look at what is and isn't stocked here. These are actual pictures taken on November 10th, 2022. Notice all the processed and junk foods, all of the frozen microwavable meals, and the soda. Let us all now take an even closer look at their fresh produce section. Couple of bananas and a few avocados. Kind of sad. Kind of really sad when you remember that delis, just like this one, are scattered all over neighborhoods like mine throughout Queens and are so much more accessible than, say, a farmer's market. But it really wasn't even until I left home and had the opportunity to educate myself on what food apartheid looks like. And it especially wasn't until I was sent back home during the COVID-19 pandemic, when absolutely no one was making that walk to the supermarket, that I realized my neighborhood, my built environment, and the resources in it are actively working against my health and contributing to my future risk of experiencing adverse health outcomes. Because unfortunately, it didn't just stop at access to healthy and nutritious foods. For example, the closest gym from my home is about 2 miles away. And if you can't drive and have to walk there, like me, it's going to take you about 32 minutes and you'll have to cross a highway. My pediatrician's office that doesn't accept Medicaid, that accepts Medicaid, is about 8 miles away from me. 2 buses, 1 subway. The number one ranked New York Public High School is about 6 miles away from me. But this one's a little special because I actually went to this high school. It's called Townsend Harris, located all the way in Flushing. Every morning, I would wake up and commute for about an hour and a half and get on 2 different buses. Now, this school has an overall scorecard of 99.89, again, ranks number one in New York high schools, with an overall graduation rate of 100%. And I'm fully aware that going here, making that commute every morning and night was a key factor that brought me here to Boston University. Now I'm a couple minutes away from multiple supermarkets, 10 minutes away from 2 different gyms, and have the ability to see a healthcare provider that is close